Alright, so first we're gonna need some eggplant. There's a Japanese eggplant and some Filipino eggplant. I'm gonna go with the Filipino ones. Alright, next we're gonna need some daikon radish. These are obscenely huge. We only need a small piece, so I'll just grab the small one. Okay, next thing we're gonna need is some kangkong, or they call it bok choy. What this is a water spinach, and they grow pretty much in every swamp or lakes in the Philippines. So we're gonna get one bunch of these. So last thing we're gonna need is some small taro or gabi. I usually pick up the smaller ones. These are a little big, but this will work. So I'll probably just grab 3 or 4. I'm trying to pick up. See, I usually get like that small. So we'll grab a few of them. What I use them for is to make the soup thick. So now we got our ingredients to make one of those popular Filipino dish called Sinigang. Sinigang is a staple for Filipinos. It's one of the most popular sour soup dish, and you can sinigang pretty much any type of meat, from fish, pork, chicken, even beef. Here are the ingredients we're going to be needing for our dish. We are going to need about 1 pack pork belly. I cubed them into like 1-inch cubes. And you can also, if you want to go lean, you can also use regular meat, beef, or you can also use the pork without the fat. Traditionally, this is actually very good with the pork belly, because the fat absorbs all that flavor more than the rest of the meat. But it's up to you on what kind of meat you want to use, or if you want it to go lean or not. We're gonna need about 2 to 3 cups of green beans, about 3 to 4 pieces of taro or gabi, and these are the small ones. 1 small daikon radish, 1 or 2 Asian eggplants, depending on the size. You can probably use the American eggplant, which is the huge ones, but you might want to chop it down to size. We are also going to need some kangkong in Tagalog, or onchoy in Chinese. These are technically Asian water spinach. They grow pretty much in a murky or watery lakes or rivers, and it has a very nice mild flavor, kind of like a spinach technically. So we're just going to be chopping them into pieces, probably about 2 to 3 inch long. And then we're gonna add these at the end. And the star of the show are the sampalocs or tamarind mix. These are what makes the sour soup strongly sour. There are different varieties, from gabi, which is a taro, tamarind, which is the traditional one. There's also kamyas, and there's a whole variety of them. But I like using the gabi one because it makes it thick. Tamarind, I usually use it only for a seafood type, like some fish or shrimps. But you can use any types you want. So we'll be using this for our dish. And these are actually still from the Philippines. When we went back there last year, I bought like a whole ton of them, because this brand and this type is kind of hard to come by here. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna peel the taro and cut it into quarters or something small enough, because when we're done with this, we're gonna be boiling it, and then once it's soft, we're gonna be mashing it. That is what's gonna make the soup thick. But you can leave it whole also if you don't want to do that. So you can just pretty much peel and then cut it in chunks. So the next will be the daikon radish. We're gonna be just peeling it and slicing it into probably a 1/4 inch thick slices. So if you haven't seen a taro before, this is pretty much a root vegetable, kind of like a potato. So we're gonna be peeling it, and don't worry about the blemishes. You know, just like regular potato, they're gonna have blemishes all over. Just peel it off, get rid of it. So just like that. And then what we're gonna do next is chop it. Just cut it down into small pieces. So we're just gonna cut it, you know, small enough so that it'll cook faster. And then we just toss this in the hot water later on. For the radish, we're just gonna chop off the ends. I don't even know if I'm gonna use all this. It's a lot. And they're usually selling like a big piece of it out there. So once you chop off the ends, just pretty much peel it. And then once you peeled it, we're just gonna cut it, not too thin, just like that. Next thing we're gonna do are the green beans. So I just finished washing them. These are short enough, so all we really need to do is just get rid of the ends. Just trim off the both ends, and that should be ready to go because these are pretty short, so you don't have to cut in half. And for the eggplant, we just chopped off the end, cut it about 1 to 2 inch length, and then just cut it in lengthwise on the center. So just like this. You can add in as much eggplant as you want. I'm only using 1. So we prepped most of our ingredients. The only thing I need to do now is the kangkong or the water spinach, but I can do that as everything is cooking in the pot. So the taro or the gabi, we just pretty much chopped it into bite-sized pieces because we're gonna boil them, soft enough so that you can smash it. Again, you don't have to smash it. You can leave it as is like this, but I'm smashing it so it helps make the soup thick. The radish, just pretty much peel and chop it and slice and not too thin. Green beans, they're short enough, so I just chopped off the ends. And eggplants, depending on how thick or how big they are, you just try to make it into like a bite-sized piece. On this recipe, you can also add onions, which I did not add because you can't really get much flavor because this is a very strong dish. And also, this usually comes in with a pepper, a specific pepper that we use for this type of dish. Unfortunately, since we moved here, we don't see that type of pepper anymore. So you can, well, it's up to you if you can add in any type of pepper, just to not to make it too spicy, just to have a little kick into it. But so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna be boiling our taro or our gabi. We have our pot of boiling water, so what we're gonna do is just add in the taro. Cover and let it cook for about 5 to 10 minutes until soft, and then we're going to be pulling them out and smashing them. So once they've been boiling for a while, let's grab a few pieces and put them in a bowl. We're going to be using a fork. Again, this is optional. If you want to keep them whole like that, you can leave it as is. So what I'm going to be doing here is we're going to be mashing them. If it's soft enough, yeah, we could still boil it a little more, and it's alive. So we can just smash it. If it's still hard, just continue boiling it. But pretty much this is the point of the whole idea is just smashing it. And once you smash it all, you can just put it back in the soup, and it's gonna make it rather thick. It's kind of like a cornstarch. So once you finish mashing them, just put them back in the broth or the soup. And continue doing that for the rest of the taros. So we're gonna grab other ones. Again, if it's still a little hard, you can just let it boil for 5 more minutes to get it soft. But you get the whole idea. Also, if you want to use onion or tomato, this is a perfect time to put it in. The tomato you can just quarter it, and onion you can also quarter that. You don't need to chop it like really thin. But yeah, let me continue doing this, and we'll be right back. So we finished putting in our smashed taro. So as you can see, it's already becoming thick. What I'm gonna do next is we're just gonna add in our pork. Again, I'm using pork belly. You can use any type of meat or protein that you like or you want to try. You can also use leaner types of meat so that you don't have to eat the fat if you're very health conscious. But for me, I like using the pork belly for this. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start putting in. Again, these are like about cube size, about an inch thick. So we're just going to continue putting them. And don't worry, I already washed them before chopping them. And we're going to be adding in our tamarind mix. Now, if you're a foreigner and you're new to this, I suggest just using a little for now until you get used to like the sourness of it. So probably use a good 2 tablespoons for now, depending on how much broth and how much soup you're making. Oh, also, I'm going to be making about 20 cups, if not more, of soup in this dish because we love soup. So for now, start off with a little, because you can always add in more at the end depending on your preference. But for me, I use pretty much 1 whole packet, if not more. So we're going to add that in. Also, it's optional. You can put in patis or fish sauce, but it varies. It's actually preference. So for this dish, I'm actually opting out for that one. But I do usually put fish sauce with this. It does add that nice umami flavor. So we will boil our pork for about 20 minutes until soft. And then once that's ready, we're going to be adding in all the vegetable all at once. So for our kangkong, what we do is we just grab the leaves, pretty much just pull it out. If it's not good, if it has a lot of holes or whatever in it, or you don't like how it looks, just don't add it in. I also like adding in the stems. Not all the way in the bottom though, because those are a little tough. But just like that. So I'm gonna be doing this for the rest of the kangkong. You can also grow these because these are kind of like a swamp spinach. So let's say after removing the leaves, you can keep the stems, and soak it in water and watch them. They will just grow. That's usually what I do to kind of like grow my own, because these are not really it's quite actually hard to come by. You don't really see them all the time, not like in San Diego. So I'm gonna continue doing this for the rest of our kangkong, and we should be ready to start pouring in our vegetables into our dish or into our soup. So we're finished with our kangkong. So you see, I just kind of separated the leaves from the stem. I also want to include some of the stem and some of the young ones because they're nice and chewy. It has like an apple texture actually. Anyways, so we're gonna wash this and we're gonna put this in the very end so we don't overcook the vegetables. Now for these stems, what I usually do is I plant them I'm gonna soak them in water, and they'll just pretty much propagate from there, and easy way to grow them. So, all right, let's start putting our vegetables in our soup. So we've been boiling our soup for a while. What we're gonna add in now are the radish and the green beans. Also, you can taste the soup. This is also a good time to add in a fish sauce if you want to add in fish sauce. Or if you want salt and pepper. Since the tamarind flavor since the sour flavor from the mix is actually strong enough, I'm not even going to put any of those because it's not going to make that much difference. So we're going to cover this and cook for 5 minutes until they're slightly soft, and then we're going to add in our eggplant and then the kangkong after that. Alright, now we can add in our eggplant. Oh, also, if you are into okra, you can also add in okra to this dish. I'm not a big fan of okra, so it's not my family, so that's why we don't add it in. So our eggplant is in, cover, and then we're gonna, hold on, let's go taste it first. Make sure it has enough seasoning. Yep, that's a pretty sour, so I'm not gonna add in any more sinigang mix on it. So we're gonna simmer this, and then let it cook for probably 2 to 5 minutes. Until the eggplant's soft, and then after that we're gonna add in the kangkong and then turn off our heat, and we should be ready. Our vegetables should be nice and cooked. One last time, let's check the flavor. You notice that the soup is murky because that's because of the taro that we crushed. That's good. You can also add in some pepper, salt and pepper for it. Since we don't have any spicy pepper to add in, we're just going to use some ground pepper. Now we're just going to add in our kangkong, and the dish should be good. If you don't have these, you can also add in bok choy. Pretty much in some areas it's going to be hard to find, but the mustard greens are also used. There's a variety of vegetables that you can use for this, but I like kangkong because it's like that's where I grew up in. They always use kangkong for it. So this is ready. Let's turn off the heat, and we're ready to plate it. So here's our finished dish. Pork sinigang or sinigang na baboy, and we used pork belly for this. So I hope you enjoyed today's recipe, and see you in the next one. Thank you. Eating this dish is actually perfect with rice, and what Filipinos usually do is they add the rice in with the soup and kind of like soak them really well, so when you eat it you have that nice strong flavor on the rice. So, yeah, hope you guys like this dish. For foreigners, I suggest use less of the seasoning. It depends on how much sourness you like on your soup. But yes, this is for me. I like it really strong. So, thank you for watching. So as we're making our soup, I'm about to work on the kangkong. And at the same time, I'm prepping our little tortoise's food because I'm behind schedule. I usually start my cooking at 3 in the morning, but woke up late today, so I'm a little behind schedule. He's just getting his morning soak. So here's our kangkong now soaking. So in probably a couple of weeks, it's gonna start sprouting some leaves that we can use for cooking.